Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again with a new review. A review that I actually wanted to do um, just for shits and giggles. Uh, Actually, a movie that I never really saw the entirety of and was really curious about. So I rewinded it uh, all the way to the scenes that I actually wanted to see. Uh, and I sort of get the picture what the movie is about. The movie is about an old one, uh, Don't Look Now, from 1974, with Donald Sutherland as John Baxter and Julie Christie as Laura Baxter, his wife. Now, this, this movie gets a 7 on IMDb. Sorry, 7.1, directed by Nicholas Rouge. Never heard of him. Now, this movie in back then in magazines got the title of the best horror movie ever made. Ever made. And so I was curious, of course. Even Siskel and Ebert, those two put that, especially the smaller one. Is that Ebert? The pudgy little fucking piece of shit. I mean, I hate the guy. He has no open mind. Siskel, the longer one, he has a little bit more open minded. But they even said, oh, "What a great work of art." But this movie it's a psychological horror drama. I'm not sure if it says that on IMDb, horror drama, but it's definitely a drama. It's that what there's this quote of movies like that. Jenna Ortega's character in Scream 5, when she gets called by the killer in the beginning scene, she says she likes that kind of horror more. It's a subgenre of it became a subgenre of horror. What I still call psychological horror has became a, but I can't remember what she said. It's movies like Hereditary, Midsummer, The Wicker Man, The Babadook, the movies where you have to think and pay attention to certain, yeah, you really have to pay attention. And this movie is one like that, like those. Now, first of all, it's the movie's synopsis is Laura and Laura and John, they lose their daughter. What happens is she's playing in the rain and she has this red red rain slicker on, and this plays a huge part through the movie, and she drowns apparently because there's a river and she got in and she drowns. She dies. And then you have the reaction of John, which is pretty raw, pretty raw. It's the acting is really good, but year later, a few years later, he's an architect. I think he's an architect. He does these like if something is from ancient times, but it has to be restored. He does that job. You know what I mean? So they have a job in Rome, Italy. So they go
Must
there.
take some time off.
Great. They think it's a great way because
Yeah.
they're grieving. They're still in mourning over their daughter because yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's kind of
and
yeah.
apparently Rome has been, because that's the reason what I thought actually in the beginning, that's a slasher movie. A giallo-like slasher movie because they haul a body. You know, Rome has a channel, the channels of Rome, where you can go from places to places with boats. It's like a taxi service. It's pretty neat. But Rome itself um, has this big channel, and they haul a body out there. Apparently, the police inspector said she was cleaved to death with a cleaver. So pretty gruesome death. Apparently, this isn't the first murder. Pretty,
Che è
pretty
successo?
young girls, he said,
Abbiamo trovato
are
un
being
corpo.
targeted and killed.
I hope it's not another murder.
And every time, so here is the red ring slicker thing comes in play. He sees this a little person where he can't see the face of. He can't see the face from, and
I have a friend.
wears a red ring slicker exactly like his daughter, and also child's size. So he thinks he's seeing his daughter. He thinks his daughter's ghost is trying to contact him, because at some point there is this more towards the movie goes. I think the movie, I think it's 2 hour movie. Things are happening, and you gotta pay attention. For example, what happens is he's working on, or he's work. I think he's working on the dome of the church. Restoring it. He falls. He breaks the glass. The whole glass. But the only piece of glass that falls is a red piece of glass. Now this also has a significance. He also meets a clairvoyant called Heather, who says something that, so the red piece of glass is actually meant for Donna, but she feels that for John, for Donald. But the clairvoyant feels, because they use her to solve the case, but she feels that there's somebody in the room with a strong psychic ability. Now apparently John has this psychic ability of premonitions. He can see in the future. Not like we can see, I'm gonna, I know what the lotto numbers are. I'm gonna, the 6 good numbers, and I win a few $1,000,000. No, he in ways he can foresee what's gonna happen, for foreshadowing, and yeah. So that also comes in play in the movie. There's also something else I wanted to see, because during an interview of Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie, they said they actually had sex. The sex scene they had in Rome was actually penetration. It was actually a real sex scene. They were really aroused. They liked it. They knew each other as friends, and and the director knew this. They were fucking, but the thing is, he thought, let them just fuck. Let them have an orgasm. For me, that's not that doesn't make the guy a porn director. That just, he wants the purity, the rawness of the excitement between the two, the love between the two. But it's a really, really weird scene, because it interloops with another scene. So it always interloops. It interloops with them coming to the hotel where they're staying. Sexy. He's in the next scene. He's in the bathroom, taking his shirt off. Sex scene. Then another scene where he's drinking a glass of scotch or something. sex scene. It's weird. It's constantly, and then it ends with them lying in the bed, she completely on the other side, and him on the other side with their eyes wide open. So it's clearly that there's not really that they're still in mourning, that they're still in grief, that they still can't process it. And I wanted to know what that scene. I really want to know. Yeah, I'm a little pervy. I'm a perv. You can call me pervy Kent. No, but I really wanted to know that scene because it, it was supposed to be weird, and I understand where they're coming from because it always interchanges with another scene where it's like being unhappy and she's being unhappy, and then they have sex scene. It's weird. It's weird. Then at some point she has to go back to the States. Now here are the spoilers, right? Like I said, I don't know the entirety of the movie, so I'm not gonna give it a score. The score for me is the score that it gives IMDb. It gives the score that IMDb gives. I'm gonna give that score the 7.1. I probably would give. It's not my kind of genre. It's not because this movie is bad, right? The red glass that falls. I think now that's the problem. I think it's the shattering of blood, his demise, because he also at some point knows that his wife is in the States, but then he sees his wife on one of the boats through through one of the canals, and she's all dressed in black, mourning somebody, and he's yelling towards her, but he can't hear her. So that's a weird scene too. This is when he's more and more seeing that little girl, let's say, in the red slicker running around and following her, let's say, hoping to catch her, to get some answers from. But the clairvoyant says that he should be aware of this person or something. In any case, you already get the vibe that there's something going on. His wife's there without him knowing it. She's wearing all black. She's crying. She's standing in front of the boat. She's mourning. She's on a funeral, basically. And that's why I wanted to do this review. I hope to get some comments, to maybe some people that can explain this to me, because like I said, in my opinion, what the glass, when it breaks, I believe there's a scene in there. I believe that the red glass portrays his blood. The fact that he sees his wife is actually an omen of the future, that his wife is mourning John. So to make this review not too long, because it's super complicated, and is this a good movie? Yes, it's very it's an intricate story with it's a story that is so well put together with details and links and hints and all that but you've gotta be for it, and I'm a dumbass. I got kicked by a fucking mule. I don't I no, but seriously, that's too much for me. I liked Hereditary. I sort of like The Wicker Man, but it more for its for the hil- for hilarious scenes when they're all dancing and singing, and Sutherland still says no. Christopher Lee says it's still his best role ever from The Wicker Man. Lord Summerisle, I believe his name is. But what happens? He finally finds the red slicker person, turns around, and it's a midget, a small person. And now I have nothing against people that are small, but she looked like, it was a woman. She looked like a fucking garden gnome, ugly as hell, big fat nose, large mouth, garden gnome.
Wait.
Put a little paint on her, you can put it on in the garden. Oh, what it. And then she had the cleaver in her hand, and she slices him in the neck like once or twice, and you can see it's pretty explicit, and you see the blood coming out, and he's like, and you see a slow-mo of him, the blood's spewing out, and he falls. Yeah, and that was a horrific scene in my opinion, because first of all, that was apparently the serial killer, you know, that's been haunting Rome. The killer looks fucking creepy as hell. Like I said, a disturbed garden gnome. And the way he dies is pretty horrific, with a cleaver in his neck, completely cut open. And it's also a very sad scene. I mean, first of all, they lose their daughter. Now, I mean, Laura loses her husband. Fuck, man. This movie, in my opinion, had more of a sense of a drama than a psychological drama, not a horror movie. Yeah, that, you know, that last scene, and of course when they're hauling the body out of the channel, that makes it. But it can easily be a thriller, you know, than a horror movie, because there's nothing horror about it. He lost his child. That's so horrifying. But that's not horror. Then okay, they haul the body out of the water. Yeah, that's horrifying. But a thriller could even be like a 7 or something. It can be or where a body is found, CSI. It's just that last scene that's kind of horrifying with the gnome. I'm called the gnome, and I'm totally respect to smaller people if they have problems with that. Totally understand if they don't have problems with that. You are who you are, and stay who you are, because proud and honor, right? But I don't know. She looked ugly as hell. That's actually more the thing. She looked ugly as hell, and now with that cleaver, it made it creepy. And now with that extreme, explicit, bloody scene, that a typical giallo kill, you know. That made it horrifying. So yeah, maybe a little bit horror, but the movie's all about these hints and this paranormal aura that's hanging there, that we're not really sure that the clairvoyant is paranormal, but we don't know if the I believe the clairvoyant was used by the police, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know there's a clairvoyant called Heather in there. I'm not sure if she works for the police to catch the killer, but I know she met up with Don Sutherland in a way and said something enigmatic and you get those weird scenes like his wife just not being in the States but mourning, you know, on a boat. You know, it's. Let me think what you think about this movie. Is this a um, is this up your alley? What is the? I know that Donald Sutherland had the power of foreshadowing or foreseeing the future. Um, but the red slicker with the killer, I, besides the fact that he sees a little person running in those red slickers and trying to following it. In my opinion, I think it had more of a significance in the movie than just being the wardrobe of the killer, which is a weird wardrobe because it didn't rain. Rome usually is it's in the south of Europe. It's the weather is fine. Weird choice of clothing, but so that red slicker, it had something because the color red is it's they use it a lot in the movie with the glass and then you know the red slicker and that the blood, you know the puddle of blood that's coming out of his neck. I mean it's used a lot. His daughter dying in the red slicker, uh, really horrifying scene. I mean, let me if you what you think about the movie. I really want to know what you guys think. Is this a good movie? Is there something that I missed? Let me know. Subscribe. It's free, and every commentary I react because I wanna, you know, the debate. You know, I want a debate, a good debate. So, see you next time, and have a great day.